Hello, and welcome to Industry Talks with Forteck.
Hey everyone, it's Branden and founder and CEO of Forteck.
Hey, I'm Mark, the VP, and we're going to go through some collector stuff and Avenza and talk about GPSs. So here's an article we wrote on November 6th. It kind of goes through some of the pros and cons of Avenza and Collector and how it's helped us out in forestry and go above and beyond our competitors. So Brian, when was the first time you started using Collector?
Back in 2016, we were doing a bunch of work up in high level, and had done a bit of research on it, and we decided to implement it with our program for that season for block layout. And in all honesty, it didn't go well at all. We had a lot of thinking error issues. I didn't know what I was doing trying to build the maps, and it was quite the eventful time trying to get it to work properly out in the field.
Did you actually get it to sync on the first couple times, or was it all errors?
No, we had massive errors and we lost all our data and we didn't know how to extract it, and we had to redo a bunch of stuff internally. And I think we started tracking with Avenza and Collector, and we were able to export the Avenza tracks and then utilize them eventually. So we had actually given it full effort for a while. Didn't have a lot of success with it, and I only knew GIS and Collector. We didn't even really utilize Collector in school when I was at NAIT, and I just had basic GIS knowledge, so I was trying to make it all work by studying online and just basically trial and error, and didn't go well, so we ended up utilizing Avenza for the first while, or for quite a while. We actually went back to complete Avenza until for a few years, even though we messed around with Collector a few times.
Yeah, I don't remember it was the job I did for you up in Manning there was that was before or after high level, because I remember using Collector for the first time on that Manning job and finding it pretty cool. Back when we had a name for each feature, we had our own names per feature, and that I remember in high level we had Avenza we're using, and it was actually still pretty amazing how advanced Avenza has come then. And I remember zooming in and out of maps, and all the dictionaries were all connected between the maps, and that worked actually very well. The only thing is with Collector, you can sync and you can see everyone's data, and you can really project manage a lot better that way.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of pros to having Collector when it works right. So I'd say the biggest feedback that we've gotten from clients over the last so many years is the ability to be able to see view links and progress of the data on a basically through the internet on a consistent basis has been really big feedback that we've had that's been positive for Collector. But I guess some of the negatives that we've seen or had to deal with is the maps being finicky, not syncing properly, lost time from guys going to the field thinking they had their map downloaded and it wasn't, and losing days out in the woods. So by far, there's been probably more, I would say, general bugs and issues and kinks to work out with Collector versus Avenza, but I would say the overall finalized product of a smooth operating Collector map definitely outweighs that of Avenza.
Yeah, it has the selling features, that's for sure. Avenza has the stability, so like it'll always work. Like we've never had Avenza fail on us, and it seems like Collector, once you get it to work though, it's amazing what it can provide. Like that view link you're talking about, having figured out that, it's really good because the client can see a day after something happens, you know what, I don't like that decision, and let's go back and change it while the guys are still out there in the field, rather than having to wait a month and then forget about it, have the plan already wrapped up, and then realize they want something changed. So it saves them money in the end too.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I would say utilizing both of them is what we've basically been doing over the past few years. So if we did ever have an issue with collector syncing,
Hmm.
we would still have the Avenza map uh, data as well. I guess, do you want to maybe touch on, Mark? From my understanding, is if you utilize Avenza in the background with collector, increases accuracy or something. Is that
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily increases accuracy, but it definitely increases the GPS being active in collector. So it all depends on your accuracy within your device, of course. But Avenza just seems very stable, and it's when you tell it to record, it's going to record until you turn it off to a to a very good degree. Like it's going to keep that accuracy standard, even if you change apps, go through your phone or your device, it's always running. And then by having that run and then have collector run as well, it seems to keep it engaged the whole time.
right?
Also, there's things to consider too that collector would do. So if you have your device on power saving mode, it'll shut it off the GPS as soon as you go out of the app. So it's really important that you have that on. But Avenza, even if you turn it on power saving mode, it seems to still run.
Well, those are some really good points. I'm just looking at your blog that you'd written, and um, just opening it here.
So one big thing about Avenza that's good for just people to get their hands on a good software is that it's free to use up to 3 maps, and it's great to play around with and test out and get yourself accustomed to GPSing and using maps and getting familiar with the app.
Yeah. One thing that we have noted here for collector that I've found to be a huge benefit is being able to put tile packages on. So if you have Avenza maps that are too zoomed in and you have tree height, lidar, or bare earth or something, and you're adding wood or going outside of that, and you just have a zoomed in version, there's definitely areas where you could be missing the background, or you got to navigate through multiple maps. Is where with collector you can put tile packages on and be able to tile packages or direct download and be able to navigate easily through bare earth, tree height,
Yeah,
and wet areas mapping and any of the other additional features such as slope.
yeah, it definitely makes the map itself a lot more usable right off the bat because you don't have to just go back and forth between maps. And having that tile package is actually multiple layers. So like once you zoom out, it'll lower the quality to what you're viewing, and then as soon as you zoom in, it'll increase the quality, and that's what like gives it that higher detail while you're working with your data in the map. And also, it now before in the past we used to just upload them directly onto the devices. Now it's all on the map already, so you just hit that download button, and it's all ready to go.
Yeah, it definitely saves a big step. I remember having to walk field staff through going into iTunes for Apple
Yeah.
and steps of downloading tile packages for hours and then trying to import them into their iPads and stuff. And now they can literally download it right on the device. So
Hmm.
that's huge.
Yeah, and it's working pretty stable actually. We've worked through the kinks, and collector is working pretty good now. We haven't had to extract the data off the new collector much. I think maybe once we done it, whereas on the old collector it seemed like at least every 5 maps or every fifth user would have you'd have to pull up the data and go through ArcMap and convert it, and it can be a lot of extra work.
Yeah. Did you want to touch at all about what's coming with Collector or with Esri? I guess I've heard they're amalgamating some apps or something, and
Yeah, so there's
um,
the new app is called Field Maps, I believe. So it's going to be amalgamating collector with workforce and I think what was the other one? Tracker. So that gives you live viewing of your workforce if you have cellular connection, as well as workforce. I believe it. I'm not sure if it is workforce. It might be another one too. But workforce gives you like task management, project management uh, tools. So linking that to collector actually could be a really the new next step in having or in our collector use.
right? Yeah, no, that's going to be it's going to be huge. Be able to track time of the the field staff, I guess, when they head out and when they're back and everything with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the benefit for clients utilizing that system would be that they know what the time in the field is going to be accurate, and what they're getting, or that they're paying for what they're
Yeah.
getting, right?
Yeah, it seems like, everything is being tracked now, but it's just the way the world is going, and it makes sense to have all that in your app. So you're going to have all your to-do lists and your actual mapping and everything, and your tracking and your time management all in one app, and that will make things a lot easier, I think, and a lot more organized.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's changing quick. It seems like the last little while, and it'll be interesting to see what this new technology is once it comes out, what we're
Mm-hmm.
able to do with it.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on some other things here too. One thing I forgot to mention as well, I don't know if they're integrating it, would be Survey 123, and that's really good for plot work, whereas you can do it all on a pre-made survey, and then it just will link to Collector, and you can see your plots on there. We use that for one of our projects this summer, and it seemed to work pretty good.
Right.
What else do we got here? So yeah, there's certain tools through Avenza and Collector that work with each other. Avenza has certain tools that Collector doesn't, and vice versa. So it's also good to use it together that way.
One thing that I know that happens with collectors sometimes, and not a lot of people know, it wasn't in your blog, but basically you can backdoor extract all the data from the device directly. A lot of times I find that people in the industry don't know that. I find that it's a very useful tool if you have major syncing errors or just syncing
Yeah.
errors that you can't get the data off. Um, what's I guess, are you okay with sharing that information with anyone that
Yeah.
need to utilize that?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a learning curve. For some reason, the tool can be a bit finicky. I realize now I think it's a software, or not software, it's a licensing upgrade that's needed. And they don't tell you that. Like on the website, for example, it'll say it's that you have it available, but then it doesn't work. And then I know, and then I can get someone who I know who has the license and pay for that service. But
Right.
it's a bit of a learning curve. So I've been doing research on my own, trying to figure out a way to use some of those tools without having to go through the Esri product. So QGIS is a good one, for example, which is all open source software that's free to use, and there's tons of good tools on there too. That's good to use. It doesn't really work as well with the Esri ecosystem, I guess you could call it, but there is lots of tools there that is good to use. But yeah, going back to your question about converting, it is great that you can just pull it off and convert it. It's a bit of extra work and to figure it out, but it's something that's, once you do know how to do it, it's fairly straightforward and can save you tons of grief.
Yeah. So if any clients or I guess other companies in our space that are maybe having that issue, if they want to reach out to you to be able to uh, have help with that, I guess, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you, or your number or your
Yeah,
email?
just shoot me an email at mark@forteck.ca, and then I can run it through the system and get that or I can even just walk you through how to extract it and get you that data if you want to convert it yourself, or I can convert it and get you some of that high value data that you guys collected in the field.
Okay, awesome. And I think those are the main points from your blog, and we even touched on a few additional things. Was there anything else that you wanted to uh, bring up in regards to Collector versus Avenza, and anything GIS and tech related?
Um, no, there's really two big apps that have really, I think, opened a lot of doors in the forestry industry. Um, Not many people have used a lot of these apps, and I think once you start using them and realize their power and how they can really help out your organization, there's tons of reasons why that they should be adopted. I think most people use Avenza. It's pretty common now. The Collector does require a bit of back end work, but once you get that set up and working, it's really beneficial.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that it's definitely revolutionized what we're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
what we're utilizing to capture data in the field, and just being able to see that with the Collector Live link. and still potentially having the bed in the backup in case there's any errors with the sinking. Then we're kind of covered in every angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess this is a new thing we're doing, is doing a little podcast, and we're hoping to do this every month at least, at a minimum. So make sure to stay tuned and look out for the next one.
All right, everyone, have yourself a good evening. I guess it's evening here now. So
Okay, till next time. Bye bye.